Okay, so last week I have been to Mumbai for taking FSSM exam as a faculty, which is conducted by Critical Care Education Foundation (CCF). And on that trip, I was invited by Dr. Gunjan for the dinner. She is a fantastic intensivist and an amazing teacher. She was my mentor while preparing for ADIC. So it was a spontaneous trip. So when I reached there, I took the opportunity and requested her whether she could tell me something about the Critilearn, how it has evolved, and how to prepare for ADIC sort of questions. So two issues. One, because it was a spontaneous interview, so the questions which came into my mind I asked. So if there are certain questions remaining, you can ask in the comments of this video, which so that we can respond and we can ask and respond on her behalf. Secondly, the fan was running and I tried my best to remove the humming sound from the video, but there is a slight humming sound you can hear. I have tried my best to remove it, but it can be there. So apologies for that. And now let's see the interview. Thank you. Okay, so finally I got the opportunity to meet Dr. Gunjan and to record this session for me, myself, and also for the members of the ICU channel and ESB-ICU. Thank you, madam, for sparing time. It's almost 10:30 in the evening or in the early night, what we can say, and madam has just returned from work and agreed to provide the 10-15 minutes for this session. So, madam, as I had already told these candidates that you were a mentor for me in preparation for clearing my both ADIC Part 1 and ADIC Part 2. And you have written an MCQ book also where I could correlate that you were the same faculty who was teaching and who was writing this book. So before starting, just wanted to know how this idea of writing an MCQ book came into your mind where technically nothing was available in 2015 or 16.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ankur, to make me a part of this video, and it is definitely a pleasure to be on your channel, and I can spare any amount of time to be here.
No, thank you.
So thank you for coming over and recording this. So the book actually came to my mind when I was preparing for my ADIC 1. So I took a break from my work for my personal maternal reasons. And after I joined back, I realized that I had to refresh my knowledge. And I was like 4 years into passing my fellowship. So I just decided to give the ADIC. And believe me, it is a very good decision because ADIC really, sharpens or fine tunes your critical care knowledge. So it really helps you if you want to pursue something greater, have to fine tune your understanding of critical care, your knowledge of critical care, be latest updated. It is a good choice to give it. So I would, if anybody intends, they can give it. But when I started preparing for my ADIC 1, I gave my ADIC 1 in 2015, and at that time, I realized that there was absolutely no book available for reading. So I was actually reading a textbook of critical care, and I was coming up with MCQs, which I was just marking, writing it on the corner of the book. That time there were no PDFs, so we used to actually buy proper books. So I used to write small chits, post-its, and put it there. And when I finished my ADIC 1, I realized that I had a good number, and I had shared this with a colleague who was also ready to contribute to the book. And that is how we decided that we would come up with a book. We did face a lot of disappointments initially because India had no such book. Despite that, none of the Indian publishers actually were ready to publish our book. And fortunately, Walters agreed to publish, and we had our first book. And it's 10 years that we have published it, but it's actually doing very well even now. And I'm really get good feedback about the book that we are planning a edition 2 soon. Hopefully, once we reach out to Walters and they give an approval, we should be.
We'll be waiting very eagerly for the second edition. Hopefully, it comes out very soon.
Very soon.
So now, coming to the one of the question which is very much asked on the channel by the members, that for preparation of ADIC Part 1 and ADIC Part 2, how much time actually they require? Suppose one decides to give an exam. So how much preparation and average means? Some may require very less amount of time, some may require very large amount of, but on an average, how much time you require to prepare for ADIC 1 and how much time you require to prepare for ADIC 2?
So when you start preparing for ADIC 1 or you decide when I want to give an exam, the point when you take this decision should be after you have some base set in critical care. So for even ADIC 1, the eligibility for the exam wants you to work in the ICU for some years. So that is like making a base. So the base means you must have read at least one textbook in critical care.
Okay.
If you ask me which text, again is your choice. But personally, I love Oh's critical care because it's a very concise, it gives you everything and it helps you make a base. Once you make a base, a strong base, which is with even if with O's, it's not a very big book. So if you may take average 5 to 6 months to finish off O's from start to end and know it well. Once you have completed that, average preparation time for EDIC 1 is 4 months, and immediately you can give EDIC 2. So you don't really need extra time. Like in another next session, if you give EDIC 2, you're well prepared. So EDIC 1 is knowing your theory. So once you have O's as your baseline, now you have to read MCQs, you have to read latest updates, you have to read a lot of guidelines. So all these can be collected or done easily in a 3 to 4 months time. So once you register, you get 4 to 5 months time. So before registering, do a textbook. If you are ready with a textbook, you know that I have read this textbook, I know it well, I have my basics in place. Register for the exam, and I'm sure you'll clear whenever your exam is. So that's like a good 4.5 months.
So those who don't know, those are preparing for EDIC 1. Once you clear an EDIC 1, the next EDIC 2 happens some 6 months later. So you have that much time to prepare for the EDIC 2 if you immediately happens to register for that particular exam. So that's about EDIC 1, how much time you require. You have shed some light on how to start preparing, that you should read one textbook actually. And for MCQs, you can also take help of the madam's book which is there. 2-3 MCQ books are also available. I think I have made a video separately on that. I'll post the link in the description somewhere on the books written. But interestingly, just like we shared the story of how this book came into place, we would like to also discuss the idea how this Critilearn, the critilearn.com is a website which provides the courses. Specifically, it started with EDIC 1 and now provide other courses also. And I had a privilege, or I was lucky enough to see the evolution of formation of critilearn.com, then evolving to other courses. And with madam trusting me so much, I don't know how she trusted, but now I'm a mock test faculty also on that platform. So how this critilearn.com, madam, came into existence? What was your thought behind starting this? And now what help it is providing for students who are preparing for not only EDIC but other critical care exams?
So to bring it on record, Dr. Ankur has a big role for me to bring this Critilearn or to start this Critilearn. So Critilearn is an academy. It all started because of push from Dr. Ankur only. He had heard me on some forum speaking about or teaching about how to prepare for EDIC 1. I was just as a guest faculty, I was telling them what to read, what to prepare. And from there, he got in connected with me to help him out prepare for EDIC 1. And that is where we formed a small group, as he has mentioned. And that group, we took it forward. And that is when he said that I should officially do it. And it was just a decision, like, one day decision, so let's do it. What's the harm? Let me try. And it just started. The name was decided in half a day. The logo was decided in another one day. And we just made it in the website was made in a week and we started it. And then for the first session that we had about only 5 students who were appearing, and it was more of a friendly way of getting together and learning about it. But now it has grown huge. I have students from all over the globe. There are people even from UK who are registering for the course. There are obviously people from Saudi, UAE, everywhere who are registering the course. And I'm really happy that they are benefiting and we are getting very good results which are coming out. And I make it a point that, the knowledge that I give or the content that I give is quite updated. And, it's not like one content I made 4 years back and it is still there. I have been updating it, and now more and more faculty is joining in. So we have continuous practice of those things so that the person who's giving the exam is well prepared with the content of critical care.
So because madam put it on record that I pushed up for EDIC 1. When I was preparing for EDIC 1, I insisted, madam. Actually, I add that I heard madam on a webinar sort of there where she was teaching, and I got very much impressed that madam teaches so well and like that. Later on, when I started preparing, I came across an MCQ book on the Amazon that this is in critical care, the only MCQ book which was available. I ordered it, and when I reached there, I was reading, and then I found the name. This is Dr. Gunjan's. Frankly, madam, I didn't know the surname of yours because on Zoom it was only Dr. Gunjan and Dr. Gunjan. So I thought it is the same faculty or same madam which is there on the webinar, and then I got in touch with the madam. So I told them that please teach me how to prepare for EDIC. Then when I cleared EDIC part 1, so nothing was there to prepare for EDIC part 2. So I again told that, madam, on Critilearn we are only offering EDIC part 1. Whether you offer it on critilearn.com or not, you prepare me for the EDIC part 2. So that's how both the batches, first batch on Critilearn for EDIC 1 and the EDIC Part 2 on Critilearn, I was a part of it.
Student, yeah.
So that's how Madam made a whole sort of template for preparation of the EDIC Part 2. And fortunately, I don't know how, but I cleared in the first attempt.
That's your knowledge and your passion.
So, Madam, we started at Critilearn, that's okay, but you are also teaching. But just for, in short, can you tell what is the gap which Critilearn is filling up of the textbook, of the MCQs, or on preparation? What is the gap which it aims to fill for the preparation of exams like this?
So in EDIC 1, we have, so now we have multiple courses. Let me specifically stick to EDIC right now. So EDIC 1, we have made learning videos wherein like we are giving you all the content. For instance, if you go for the transplant section, you will have everything that you need for transplant critical care there. So there are learning videos. You may find it a little boring to listen to them, but they are quite lucid. Okay, they are very theoretical, obviously, but then it like covers your whole thing. So if you have read OS, you have read the guidelines related to transplant critical care, and you listen to the videos, your topic is done. You don't need to go anywhere else for it, and you will be able to answer at least 95% of the questions related to that topic. So we have covered everything. We are trying to update. Of course, I have not put guidelines as much, but now gradually I'm coming up with more and more content to be added eventually, which will take a few weeks to months. And we are trying to make it completely comprehensive so that you don't need to really go back to anywhere. You just log in to our website, register for the course, open the course, and everything is there under one roof. So it will be a complete capsule for you to swallow and pass the exam. So EDIC 1, we give those learning videos. Apart from that, we have mock exams. Now mock exams are module based as well as full syllabus based. So like, as I said, if you have one module, if you take transplant critical care, so there are MCQs related to transplant critical care. You finish the module, you give those 50 MCQs, you know how well you have learned from that module, you know where you're lacking, and you can go back and listen again. And when you give the MCQs, of course, you get a score and you get a debriefing video. Like when you give a MCQ, you often feel that no, point A is right, I don't know why B she has given right. So the debriefing video will give you an idea why the A pointer is wrong and why the B pointer is right. So we have a debriefing video which again will refresh your whole knowledge, and again the module MCQs are made in such a way that it covers the whole module properly. It is not like, you know, randomly some MCQs which are put up. So if you are completing the whole syllabus of EDIC 1 from our website or from our course, you have actually covered up the whole subject. You really don't need much more to read about, though guidelines will be there, which we keep guiding you as and when you register. You're a part of our group where we discuss, and we will keep guiding you how to go about. So it is my purpose is that whoever registers should definitely clear. That's the only intent of making this course. Everybody here is well read. It cannot say that, you know, if I'm giving an exam, if you're giving an exam, that means you have the confidence to give that exam. So obviously you're supposed to clear. Yes, there are some silly mistakes we do. There is some misunderstanding which you do. The more you practice, the more you listen from somebody, more you interpret better, and that is how you clear in a better way. So that's the only purpose of the whole Critilearn.
So this was about EDIC 1, but for EDIC 2, which held me, I would say, the mock exams. In EDIC 2, what happens on Critilearn.com, the mock exams are there in which an examiner sits and they take the whole mock exam for almost 3 hours. And you have I give almost 3 mock tests in which the faculty tested me thoroughly, right from the OSCE stations to in CCS and CBS, which we call computer stations and clinical case scenarios. So the whole 3 mocks were I gave, and it was a 3-hour mock test. And after each mock, I felt that slightly I'm improving, and that gave me the confidence in that. So in EDIC 2, the mock tests are very, very important, which other than teaching and all, what I feel. So
once a person clears EDIC 1, that means the person has good knowledge of critical care. Now, when you are going for EDIC 2, the only thing that you need to learn is how to present an exam, how to say your answer so that you get scored for the purpose that you came for, so that you pass. So that's the only thing. So our EDIC 2 course will not teach you anything. It will just make you revise and tell you how to answer. So here again, we have a phased course. There is a section which will teach you only CBS. Now again, CBS, we have recorded videos wherein we are teaching about ECG, but not teaching. We are just making you revise through the whole ECG. Like, this is normal, this is how it complete heart block, this is how arrhythmias look, this is how rare things appear, this is how STEMI looks, this is how NSTEMI looks, or how do you need to look into pulmonary embolism. So we cover a lot of scenarios in that. Similarly, the thing is for EEGs, CT scans, MRIs, radiology, every radiology, for biochemistry, hematology, we have multiple videos are made in that CBS. So that forms your base of the CBS. You have now, how to interpret every question that comes to you, how to look at it, what to look at it. So you are prepared for your CBS. Then for the CCS, we have practice mock test. Now, what is practice mock test? The purpose of this practice mock test, when we made, the purpose was like, often we go for an exam and we come back and say, I answered every damn thing. And then when you see the result, you have flunked. And you're like, I said everything. I think there's a mistake. I got flunked for no reason. Now, what happens here is, we feel that we have actually mentioned what we wanted to mention, but actually the words did not come out the way we wanted to come out. For instance, just an example which I always give is, suppose there's a case of subarachnoid hemorrhage, and examiner, I ask you, what are the complications of subarachnoid hemorrhage? Now you talk of 20 complications, but you don't say vasospasm and rebleeding. So you're not going to get the mark. Okay, obviously as an examiner, I'll feel, oh, these are the two important complications. There may be hyponatremia, there may be arrhythmias, there may be 20 more things. But then how can you forget vasospasm and rebleeding? So I will definitely not score you there. And that is what is OSCE. So the OSCE has mentioned vasospasm and rebleeding as the two common, and others are given very less weightage. Okay. So now how the practice mock is done is, there is a video where a dummy examiner is asking you questions. You have to play the video, you have to listen to the question, and you have to answer. Okay. And when you finish the exam, you just submit the exam. When you submit the exam, now your own video opens up along with another video which is giving you the correct answers. So you can simultaneously listen to your answer as well as how the answer should have been structured. So now you actually know, how exactly you answered, how badly you answered, or how well you could have framed the answer. So you have now correct. So this is the step 2 of the EDIC2 exam course that we have. Then the step 3 is the live mocks. In the live mocks, there is a live examiner who's a trained examiner, who's a passionate examiner, who will listen to you, who will take your exam for good 2.5 hours, like how it happens for the final exam, and now will give you a debriefing where you lag. Okay, now when the live examiner gives you a debriefing, it gives you a debriefing about everything. Like you should be sitting like this. When you start your exam, you start in this manner. You should structure it this way. So this small fine tuning is which happens at the last stage, which happens in the last 1.5 to 2 months of our course. So the initial 2 months you have to prepare yourself, 2.5 months. The last 2 months you leave it to us. So where we will be coming one-on-one contact with you and correcting you at every step and guiding you how to prepare further. And the final step that we do is we form a WhatsApp group wherein we continuously keep provoking your brain by some or the other question. We will keep putting questions. We'll be putting some CBS, some images, some loops, some biochemistry, something or the other coming on the group, which will trigger you to think and keep answering and keep structuring it. So one of our examiners has only this role that he or she has to keep you engaged on the group every day to keep answering 1 or 2 questions per day and to frame your answer, and also explains you why you should think in that way. So one of the few rare questions which are live things, we'll take it there. So it is completely phased. And as I said, EDIC2 is not preparation. EDIC2 is just sharpening yourself how to speak, which we give you all a good practice so that at the end of 4.5 to 5 months, you are well prepared to give your exam.
Thank you, madam. So just because I got an opportunity, 2 questions are coming in my mind because we discussed regarding this constant updates and the guidelines. Can you give some tip on how to remain updated on the latest trials and latest guidelines which comes in critical care? Is there any tip which you would like to give to our candidates and the audience which is listening?
So if you nowadays internet is there, everybody has access. There are multiple sites which are available how you can be updated. Good is, I would say, there are few main journals which are there. You keep reviewing those journals regularly and look for good articles. Or the best, what I find these days, which I usually do, is go on Twitter. People keep circulating good articles, the latest landmark articles or latest trials which have come up, which are making an impact. So those are being put up by the authors themselves. So if keep following them, gradually the AI will get you connected to more and more people who are publishing and the trial researchers, so that you can stay updated. So there is no single site. However, in our course, we are trying to make a capsule where we will keep adding on the latest articles as well as the old hot trials, which everybody should know. So that is what is our plan, but that is our plan B for now. For now, we are into the capsule.
So this Twitter thing I will also start implementing, though I'm there on Twitter but not very active. And one
But you need to unfollow all your previous sites. You need to stick only to Critical Care because Twitter AI is bad. Once they know you're from India, all they will be talking about India war.
So we'll create a new account specifically for this.
For this, absolutely.
Thank you, madam. Just before signing off, any message you want to give to our audience on the channel, ICU channel?
So Dr. Ankur is doing a great job. I think following this channel is the best thing. And believe me, for me, Dr. Ankur has been when you say practice changing paper, he's like a practice changing person in my life who got me into academics. And I think teaching is my passion and I really like that. And I really feel fortunate that I met him and he's a part of, founding CritiLearn.
We will try our best to bring madam to the ESB ICM teaching faculty. We'll try our best to bring her on the board.
I will be very happy to do it. I'll be very happy to.
So thank you, ma'am. Thank you. And if you find this video a little bit of help, and if you have certain queries, you can always ask in the comment section. Thank you.
Thank
See
you
you
so
soon
much.
in the next video. Thank you.